Welcome to Beyond Just Money. My name is Samta, and today we have the head of content of Kalkine Media, Ms. Nidhi Sinha, as a guest speaker. So today on our agenda is to answer a very genuine question. Will 2021 be better than 2020 for the telecom stocks? Welcome, Nidhi.
Thanks, Samta, for having me on Beyond Just Money. And that's definitely a very relevant topic for our listeners.
So, Nidhi, how did telecom stocks perform in 2020?
Samta, the performance of telecom stocks in the US was quite mixed in 2020. For instance, stocks of AT&T Inc. and Verizon Communications, they fell 24.4% and 4.3% respectively in the year. But at the same time, T-Mobile US, which merged with one of the major wireless providers, Sprint, saw its share price soar 72% during 2020. Similarly, shares of internet service provider Comcast Corporation also rallied 16.5% during the year. Yes, Samta, you're absolutely right. T-Mobile's net customer additions in 2020 were 5.6 million, which kind of took its total count to 102.1 million. And the jump, the company said, was the highest in 4 years. In fact, its total revenue also jumped to 68.39 billion US dollars from 44.99 billion US dollars in the previous year, following the Sprint merger and the customer growth. Subsequently, its net income fell to 3.06 billion US dollars from 3.47 billion US dollars. In a way, the increased expense from the merger was partially offset by higher revenue, Samta. According to T-Mobile, its extended range 5G covers 280 million people across 1.6 million square miles. The company also claims it to be nearly 4 times more than Verizon and nearly 2.5 times more than AT&T. Also, the company projects its ultra capacity 5G, which covers 106 million people, to cover 200 million people in 2021, Samta. So that's a big jump. I would also like to add that German telecommunications company Deutsche Telekom AG is the largest shareholder in the Washington-based T-Mobile with a 43.35% stake.
Okay, so moving forward, Nidhi, would you like to shed some light on Comcast cable communications performance in 2020?
Samta, I believe that Comcast posted a 4.9% year-on-year decline in its revenue in the year 2020. However, the company's cable communication revenue increased 3.4% during the period to 60.05 billion US dollars as high-speed internet and wireless revenue grew 9.9% and 34.9% respectively. Its net income attributable to the company in 2020 came in at 10.53 billion US dollars, which was down 19.3% year over year. Also, Comcast, which paid 4.1 billion US dollars in dividends during 2020, raised its annual dividend further for 2021 by 9%, Samta.
Well, absolutely, Nidhi. And please tell us about the circumstances of AT&T that posted huge loss in 2020.
See, AT&T's consolidated revenues in 2020 dropped to 171.8 billion US dollars from 181.2 billion US dollars in 2019. This happened because of the COVID-19 pandemic impacted its Warner Media and the domestic wireless service businesses. Also, the company reported a net loss of 5.4 billion US dollars attributable to common stock compared to the net income of 13.9 billion US dollars in the year ago period again. Meanwhile, the Texas-based telecom company projected its consolidated revenue to grow by around 1% during 2021. Gross capital investment is expected in the range of 21 billion US dollars with capital expenditure of around 18 billion US dollars, Samta.
Well, so before we conclude this podcast, Nidhi, I'm very sure that our listeners would also like to know about Verizon, whose revenue declined by 2.7%.
Sure, Samta. Verizon was another stock that kind of declined in US. Know that Verizon saw its consolidated operating revenues decline 2.7% year on year to 128.29 billion US dollars in 2020. The total of its consumer revenues again dropped by 2.8% to 88.53 billion US dollars. But its revenue from wireless service came down by 0.3% to 53.6 billion US dollars. The New York-based wireless carrier also said its net income fell 7.3% year on year to 18.35 billion US dollars during the year. For 2021, Verizon expects capital spending to be in the range of 17.5 billion US dollars to around 18.5 billion US dollars, Samta. So that's the case for Verizon, really.
Well, this seems to be quite a handful of information for our listeners, Nidhi, and thank you for sharing your insights with our listeners once again.
Thanks, Samta.
I'm sure that our listeners had a great time knowing about their favorite telecom stocks and whether the ongoing year 2021 would be better than the year 2020. Now, to listen to this podcast again, please log on to our website, which is kalkinemedia.com. Or you could also subscribe to our YouTube channel, wherein we have a lot of informational videos along with our past podcasts. Until we see you next with yet another insightful episode of Beyond Just Money, as we always say, stay apprised and invest wise. With Kalkine, your best guide.